Drivers, start your engines. You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr. and I'm welcoming you and taking a lap the extra mile for today, August the 1st, 2019. And guys, I just got back from Pocono and it was absolutely amazing. We're going to get into all the stories of the entire Pocono weekend and at some point talk about the race as well. We also had two amazing races in IndyCar and Formula One. And to help me go through all of this will be my co-hosts, Michael Ward, Caitlin Seam, and Lolita Camella.
Good evening.
Goodest of evenings. I'm just going to make up words now.
Evening of good.
Bonjour. Bonjour, mon ami.
Michael, turn yourself up just a little bit. I couldn't hear you.
Bonjour.
That is better.
He's only a whisper now. He's a whisper of a man.
Michael, try it one more. Try it one more time.
Whisper of a man. Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Hey, we can hear him now, and he's not a figment of our imagination.
Yay! Okay. So let's.
And then Michael leaves.
Like Puff the Magic Dragon. Wait, you have to get drugs to see him.
So let's get into this week's episode. It's going to be a shorter show today because I didn't realize that the Dirt Derby, which is usually on Wednesdays, is now on a Thursday. So we're going to try and knock these topics out as fast as we can so we can actually watch the feature, which is supposed to go off at about 9 o'clock. So we're sorry if we rush through things and not really touch on everything. Actually, I'm in the media site so I can see what time the green flag is so I can show, or so I can make a mental note of what time we actually need to be done. It just says 9 o'clock. Okay, so we'll try to be done by 9 o'clock and get through with all this. But it's funny that I bring up the media site because the first thing we're going to start with is NASCAR because I got back from Pocono and I was in the media center and it was awesome. I don't know why I decided to sing that, but I did.
Because it's just that awesome.
Because
just how it works.
It was everything I thought it was going to be in a little bit, actually a lot extra, because you don't realize you're going to go and do the thing until you're rolling up to the track. And you're trying to get, and when you go to Pocono, it's a little 2-lane road with just trees everywhere. And then this clearing opens to where you can actually see the sign for the racetrack to turn the left. You can see the spires of the grandstand. So you make that left turn and you go down the road to actually get to the credential office. And by the time we got there, ARCA was having final practice. So you hear the car zooming down the Long Pond Straight and it finally kind of clicks in my head. Oh my God, I'm actually going to go cover a NASCAR race. And it was taking every part of me not to geek out. And I did geek out a couple of times. Like, first time I get out the car and I hear, as the ARCA cars go by, I just lose it. Because it was such an exciting time. Because we finally got to get there and do this thing that we've been trying to do for about a year now. About a decade for me. So we get done and we get our credentials and get the little lanyard and go into the track to go to the media center, which you park right out back of it in the garage area. And it's about everybody that you've ever followed on Twitter that covers motorsports or NASCAR. They're in that center. Like within 10 minutes, I see Claire B. Lang walking around, and she's going to be important later. But you walk in there, and I'm pretty sure Lita would understand this, and Caitlin too. I'm pretty sure if I had stuck my hand out, it would have been shaking, because that's just the amount of goosebumps I was feeling walking in that room at that moment.
Your goosebumps had goosebumps.
I mean,
Pretty much.
That's fair. I mean, I've told you the first time I walked into a media center, I met Robin Miller, and still to this day, I mean, we still have the fun, awkward bathroom story to go back on, but I mean, it's not as bad now, but I'm still like, oh my God, it's Robin Miller. Like, you just have that same kind of like, I'm not worthy, like the whole like Wayne's World, like Wayne and Garth just being like, I'm not worthy to Alice Cooper. It feels a little bit like that. It's kind of, but the thing is that you have to know that you are there, so you are somewhat worthy. You could be the next Robin Miller or whomever. You know, just eyes on the prize.
It was absolutely awesome. I got to meet Bob Pockrass on that Saturday. I actually didn't officially meet Claire B. Lang until Sunday, but I'm going to try to hurry this up because we actually do have to talk about the race. So we go through there, and you go watch truck practice for the first time from pit lane. It's a completely different animal to have a hot pass and basically get to go anywhere you want. Like, we're in the garage, we're at the driver's meeting, we are sitting on pit lane, watching the trucks go around for practice and watching the cup cars go out. You're standing there for qualifying, watching them go out. Like, it is an incredible experience to actually be there and actually covering a race. And on Sunday, we're down there in the pit lane. I've got my book out, taking notes, and listening to Eric Jones and the JGR cars talk about the fuel strategy. And you're watching them go by you, and it's just an amazing experience because whatever happens to this race, you're going to put your version of the story of it on paper once this race finishes. And once this gets done, you're going to go get to ask questions to the winner. You're going to go to these bullpen sessions where you get to ask 2 through 10. A lot of these guys you may have idolized on TV, you're going to get to go ask them questions. You're about to go ask them about their day. Now, I didn't get to talk to Kyle Busch after he finished, I think, 9th on the race, but Kyle was Kyle, and it was kind of weird seeing that routine in person because we were talking, I don't remember if we were talking to Kyle Larson or Daniel Hemrick. I think it may have been Larson. No, it wasn't Larson. It was Truex. So we're talking to Truex, and I can see Kyle out the corner of my right eye, and he's sitting there chewing on the straw. I know he's not saying anything. I was actually going to go over there and try to get his comments. And I just look at him and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get anything from that. So I'm not going to walk over there. I mean, it would be about 5 steps, but he's not really saying a whole lot. But got to...
You got to pick and choose.
Yeah, got to talk to Kyle Larson for a little bit. Got to talk to Daniel Hemrick for a little bit. Asked Denny Hamlin a question about the PJ1 application, because that was a big story all weekend about what that was going to do. And when I asked Tyler Ankrum about it, he didn't think it was going to do much for their race, the truck race, and it didn't at all. The ARCA race, it might as well have not been there, but the ARCA race had 20 cars, and y'all, I really hope this merger works out for them, because that ARCA race, it was not good. It was not good. They had 20 cars, and I think 15
it wasn't a good
finished.
Race, or
it wasn't a good race. Like, that's a race where I'm glad. I'm like, the next day when they had the truck race, like, I'm glad this race has stages. Because this would have been horrible. Like, the ARCA race could have used stages. That's how bad it was. Because they just got so spread out. And there's only 20 of them, so they're all running in, like, their own little areas. So it's not like they were really running close together. And then you got the field fillers in a 20-car, or the guys that are starting parking in a 20-car field pulling off. So you really only had 15 cars on the track. And ARCA used to bring 40. They used to be as strong as the Cup Series. So it's kind of sad seeing that, to be honest.
Damn.
Yeah. But the truck race was pretty good. Poor Stuart Friesen. He is on a free fall. He was second in points at one point. Now he is barely clutching on to the 8th spot. Ross Chastain actually won that race, and that was kind of surreal because 2 weeks prior, I saw him smash the watermelon at Daytona when he won the first time there as a fan. And now I'm a media member, and I'm seeing him win his first truck race at Pocono. I was like, that's absolutely wild how the world works. I actually went and said that to him once the race was over, or once the interview section was over. I asked him, did he feel like the championship favorite now? And he said no. I honestly think he is the favorite to win the championship, even with that team's lack of funding. He's just been absolutely on fire since the Truck Series started, and specifically since he declared for the Truck Series points. And it's kind of funny because about this time a year ago, a certain Cup driver said that he wouldn't amount to anything. Well, I think that's a little bit different now, don't you think?
A smidge.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a smidge.
And then we move on to Sunday, and I'm heavily cliff noting this story because we have other stuff to get to today, and I could probably make an entire podcast just about this trip. But we get to Sunday morning, and we're waiting for the media rides, and Claire B. Lang actually walks up. She's going to interview Hemrick, and I actually introduce myself to her, and we sit there chit-chatting for a little bit, and she actually lets us ride in the back of the Silverado while she's doing the interview. So we're sitting back there, and Daniel Hemrick's going 120 in this Silverado, and I'm trying to hold it together, but he is flooring this thing, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, Daniel, please do not crash us. And he's just talking like he's doing 35 in a school zone when we're doing 120 in this truck down the Long Pond straightaway. That was an experience I will never forget for the rest of my life. And I don't get how those guys just stay as calm as they do when they're in these cars. They act like it's nothing.
I guess it's because they do it like all often. It's just once you do it so many times, it's just, oh, whatever.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, I'm sure that anything slower than what you normally race at feels like snail speed.
It's gotta be, because he's flooring it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Daniel, please do not crash us here. And then he pulls into the pit road, playing around. He slams hard on the brakes on this Silverado, throws us almost out of the seat. Thankfully, we make it, and we end up
he does
parking.
that on purpose, right? All of it.
I know he did. I know. Oh, I know he did it on
How do we make
purpose.
these people piddle their pants?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to go again, but we didn't get a chance to. But it was still a lot of fun. Got to watch the Cup race from the press box, and it was actually an entertaining race. You know, there was a lot of strategy going on, as there often is in Pocono. And then that little rain shower came through, and I thought that was going to park us for a little bit, but it just kind of came up, and as soon as it was there, it was gone, and that threw Kyle Busch's strategy out of whack. So he was praying for a caution that didn't really come until Josh Bilicki had issues. Denny Hamlin ends up picking up the win at Pocono in an entertaining race that at one point was 1, 2, 3, 4 JGR Toyotas. And if you need and if Toyota wanted to talk about how fuel efficient their Camrys are, that was the race to do it, because I have no idea how Denny Hamlin won 48 laps on a tank of fuel. Like, that was absolutely incredible driving by him.
It happens on occasion. I always feel like those kind of weird things happen at Pocono, though.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, we found out the setup for next year.
Yeah, well, I was actually there for that press conference, and...
Oh, were you really? That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I was in there for that. I actually had to ask a question to, I believe that was Scott Miller that was there about the backup car policy. Next year, that race will be going to 2 tentatively scheduled 350 milers. Now, I thought it was going to be 2 200s, but I don't think they want to go that far down for the Cup Series, so it's going to be 2 350s. And they're going to invert the lead lap cars on the second race. So expect the fight for the last few spots in the lead lap coming to the end to get even more brutal than it already is going to be. And all I can imagine right now is Josh Bilicki and BJ McLeod on the front row for a NASCAR race.
They'd have to be on the first lap, though.
Yeah. And it's going to be a wild race. You're also going to have the truck race.
Here's what I think is weird about this, though, because it's individual races, correct?
Yes.
So, like, there's a winner on Saturday and a winner on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that you have to line it up because of, like, the qualifying aspect, but I just feel like it's cheapening this, that it's all the same. Like, shit, I hope you had an amazing car on Saturday, because if you didn't, you're kind of screwed for 350 miles on Sunday.
Yeah. I think the one concern for me is they're going to be using one car, and NASCAR is going to allow them to do whatever maintenance they're going to need to get those cars ready for 350 tomorrow or the next day, but I kind of wish they were letting them use one car per race.
Yeah.
Because
you're
going to put a lot of stress
that I'm a little
on
hesitant
cars.
on.
I think you're going to see some engine failures, and we haven't really seen engine failures in a long time, or we haven't seen a lot of engine failures. We have seen some, and I think you're going to see a lot in that second race, just because 350 miles, and you're doing 350 the very next day. Even with whatever engine you put in there, it's going to be a tough ask. But that's going to be an exciting format. And then you're going to have the truck race on Saturday and the Xfinity race on Sunday. That's all well and good. And this sounds great. It's going to be hectic for us reporters until it rains. A rainstorm on Saturday, and this becomes a disaster. Because I don't know how you get 4 races in.
Very quickly.
Yeah. You're going to have to race them on Monday. You're guaranteeing a Monday if it rains long enough on Saturday. If we get an Indy-style weekend washout, that's going to be a problem. Because now you're looking at a Monday, Tuesday. Guaranteed.
Which sucks. And then the turnaround for that would be awful for the next race.
Yes, it would. It would be terrible for us media, too, trying to get back home. So, hopefully, Mother Nature cooperates as well as she did this past weekend, and we get some decent weather for that, because that's going to be a lot of fun. And I made a lot of memories that are going to last until the next time I get to go, which will be, Lord willing, next year. So, that's about it for my gushing on Pocono for one episode. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to get into one of the wildest Formula One races I think we've seen in some time. We'll be right back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Two Wheels Wednesday is the place to come for all your motorcycle sports news, every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio with myself, Matt White. All the latest news, rumours, race reviews and previews from World and British Superbikes and the big one, MotoGP. Two Wheels Wednesday, every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What up, all you boxing fans? This is Vince Wright, the sports governor, and me and Gilbert Batista are the host of Ringside on IE Sports Radio. Make sure you keep it tuned to IE Sports Radio, Spreaker.com for the latest edition of Ringside. All the boxing news you need right here. Keep it tuned, Spreaker.com, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Shout out to Crouch Coup Chief, who is back with us this weekend on the Twitter. He's been having a lot of fun with the GIFs and my story about Pocono Raceway. And also a shout out to Claire B. Lang and Bob Pockris, who I got to talk to on Sunday or on the weekend. Thank y'all so much. And also to Zach, and I want to get his name right. So give me a minute. I'm going to go to Twitter and actually get his name correct. I just want to give thanks to Zach and Tim as well. Zach works for Rights in Pocono Raceway. Tim, one of the broadcasters there at the Speedway, for also talking to us as well. Thank you guys so much. And thank you to the Pocono Raceway crew for being so accommodating to us on our first race weekend. Thank y'all so much. And with that, we are back here for the Extra Mile IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Before we get into F1, I want to give a quick update on where we are with the NASCAR proceedings as far as the top 5 and the points from the Cup Series after Pocono. The top 5 for that race was, as I go over to handydandy.nascar.com, if it'll load for me, yes it will, Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr., the top 3, and then William Byron and Kyle Larson round out the top 5. Kevin Harvick, Daniel Hemrick, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney round out the top 10. Blaney was another driver that was not happy with their day. He actually got into it with the 41 of Daniel Suarez early in that day. And as far as the points are concerned, Joey Logano has a 6-point lead overall over Kyle Busch, with Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. in positions 3 through 5. And before we continue into Formula One, did you guys see the Twitter exchange between Kurt Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.?
Yeah. I only saw, was there only two, like one from each, or was there more?
It was just the one from each.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. I gotta go find this tweet now because Kurt called it.
I really appreciate pettiness, though. Probably more than I should. To be honest.
I mean, Kurt absolutely called a Twitter body. Like, I tweeted that when I saw it. Like, He did not need to kill Ricky Stenhouse Jr. like that via Twitter.
It was beautiful, though.
And what he said was, after sleeping on it, I've decided to take the high road. And this was, to back up a little bit, Stenhouse, Suarez, and Kurt Busch all got into it. Or not Suarez, it was Michael McDowell. Got into an incident that ended up bringing out the caution that brought us to NASCAR overtime late in that race in Pocono. Kurt was not very happy with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and he had this to say. After sleeping on it, I've decided to take the high road with the Stenhouse incident. Hopefully he won't wreck me up there as well. Dang.
I love it.
Dang.
I love it.
And then Stenhouse responds with, take the road on over if you really want to handle it. You have my number.
Oh my God.
Obviously, Kurt won this exchange, but good night. He did not need to be that savage.
Well, it was also kind of like, I'm going to take the high road, but I'm also going to still kind of dig at this. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what the hell? Like, are you really taking the high road? Taking the high road would just be like, you know, guys, I was an ass. I'm sorry, and just leave it. But no, we gotta like dig and pick at it.
But it's so fun. Dig and pick at it.
No, that's what girls do, and we
And
know
race
it.
car drive
And the bushes.
and race car drivers
True.
apparently.
I was gonna say something, but it was not appropriate for the show, so I'm really glad I stopped myself. Woo.
When do you ever stop yourself?
I did this time. You should
Rarely.
be proud.
Michael asking the
weird part
tough
is I'm getting
questions
some,
on
like,
that.
ESP where I know exactly where that was going.
I
Yeah.
kind of knew where it was going as well, and Michael asking the tough questions there. But before we go too far down this road, can we just say that the German Grand Prix was probably the most chaotic Grand Prix in recent memory?
Rain will do that.
Like, that, even for rain, that race was absolutely ridiculous. And unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it live. Shut up, cell phone. Because I was out doing post-qualifying, or pre-race tech, really. I was out at the tech line, didn't get to watch the race, and came back and saw Verstappen wins, Vettel is second, the Mercedes are 11th and crashed out, Leclerc is out, the Haas's are in like 8th and 9th, and I'm just sitting there like, what did I miss?
Stroll is fourth somehow.
Yeah, Stroll is fourth. Lance Stroll almost had a podium. Kvyat was racing for second. What was this race?
I don't
I don't know, but I was feeling the same way as my dad and I are at Concours on Sunday, and he's like putting out his phone and showing me the score or showing me the order, and I go, what is happening right now? And he's like, there's not even like a Mercedes up there at all either. And I'm like, it's really happened. Like,
I just want to point out two things. That on two of the most significant races for Mercedes to win this season are the only two that they've lost.
oh, and they
Because-
like super lost this week.
But
too.
they super lost the earlier one too, though. If you think about it, they sucked then too, and that was when they were going to break the record for like most wins ever in
At
a
least
row.
They finished.
True.
Yeah, they
This
finished
one
in the
was like
points.
the huge anniversary for Mercedes. But also, can I please just point out that the two times that I've picked my darling Max Verstappen to win, he has done it, and the races have been epic.
She's
I'm
not
very
wrong.
proud of myself.
You know, I was for sure thinking Leclerc was going to win. I'm like, okay, Leclerc, you got it. And then he bottles it.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying that
mean-
I have a secret extra power that I did not know about until this weekend. And then I realized that when I picked Verstappen to win, crazy things happen.
Unfortunately, Leclerc got caught out. He was another one of those guys that got caught out by the change in the weather because Hamilton was out on softs, and it just started dumping down rain. And people are talking trash about Hamilton because he went off in the rain. Like, oh, he's actually not that good. Y'all,
this guy won the 2008 British Grand Prix.
Well, I wasn't even going there. Y'all, he was on slick tires in pouring down rain. Most of y'all fat behinds couldn't even get in the car, let alone get the car through a lap. So before you talk trash about somebody, maybe you should examine what actually happened in that event.
I think they should also go back and watch Fuji 2007.
Yes. And not to mention the fact that in the last...
Oh, I got another one. The Brazilian Grand Prix like 2 years ago in 2016.
Yeah. Hamilton's won the last 8 rain. Coming into that weekend, he had won the last 8 rain races. I think he knows what he's doing in the rain. It's just this rain at Hungary was so unpredictable. And I'm surprised, did they let them do a standing start in the rain or in the wet conditions, or was it a safety car?
It was like a safety car start.
They got to let them start doing standing starts in the rain again. I know why they won't let them do that.
We just see everybody sideways.
I mean, they won't do it again because of what happened at Spa in, I think, 1998. They won't let them do it again, but please, I would love to see it one more time. But I don't see it happening. But still, that race was awesome. Daniel Kvyat gets a shock podium. Lance Stroll finishes 4th. Carlos Sainz 5th. This episode of... And I know we keep saying this, but when we get to watch this at the end of the season on Drive to Survive, this episode is going to be lit except for the scenes of Hamilton being sick, which he's not being allowed to show, which, to be honest, I wouldn't want everybody seeing me upchucking everywhere on television either, so...
Yeah, we don't want a repeat of Weber.
Yeah, and
well, he has such an image too. You know what I mean? He has quite a very distinct image most of the time. And then he gives us videos of him dancing with his nephew, and he throws us for a loop. But for the most, I'd be like, I will literally punch everybody in the face if you try to put any kind of me not looking my best onto a document for the rest of life.
So, Lita, what did you think of this entire race?
I mean, I still have yet to actually sit down and watch it, but I think it might be the only thing this season that I will actively go out of my way when I have time to sit down and watch what the hell happened. I mean, just, we only get that kind of thing usually with Baku, and this was kind of, very much left field and through the cupboard and
mm-hmm.
so far out there, but it gives me a little bit of hope that there is potential that maybe, just maybe, there is hope for F1. So I think we all needed something like this to shake it up. I mean, regardless, Mercedes is so far ahead in the points. They already have the season. There's really no doubt about that. But that we can have a race where some of the bottom of the pool is actually on the podium, like a Kvyat, which seems like something out of a Twilight Zone episode, I feel like is weirdly renewing. So,
but isn't that just the
F1,
perfect...
Keep it up.
Isn't that the perfect full circle, though, for Kvyat? He gets kicked out of Formula One because he wrecks so many times. They call him the torpedo. He ends up going off to be a test driver. He gets back...
Ferrari.
For
Can we
Ferrari.
Point that out? Test driver for Ferrari, of all things.
Yeah. Gets back in a race car with Toro Rosso. Actually runs better than the guy that's racing in his old car right now. And then gets on a podium. If that's not the biggest...
He was promoted before he was kicked out.
Right.
The thing about that is that I was reading on some Facebook comments, and they were saying that I think it's time Kvyat got a seat back.
I think he may have done enough. I think he's doing enough this year to get his seat back, because we mosey on over to the driver's standings. accidentally clicked on drivers instead of driver standings. Formula One, fix your website. So we head on over there. Pierre Gasly has 55 points. Kvyat has 27. But I look at Pierre's number. I didn't think he had 55 if you look at how he's run this year. He's run absolutely nowhere compared to Max Verstappen. And then you could say, well, it's Max Verstappen, but Gasly should be finishing right behind him.
Daniel Ricciardo would always kind of keep up for competition when he was there. So you have the A driver who is constantly being taught or treated as the B driver to Max Verstappen, who leaves, and you have this up and coming driver who's supposed to be phenomenal. And I mean, it actually kind of reminds me a little bit of like Ed Jones in IndyCar, where it was like, oh man, he's doing phenomenal on these like low teams. We're going to bring him up. And then he's like nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. He's still getting points, but he's not really
contributing.
Not as much as everybody was predicting. Like, you know, the two up and coming, you're looking at like Pierre Gasly and Leclerc. Obviously, one of them is much more talented than the other, and I don't think it's just because they have the Ferrari behind them. So it's a bummer because I think Gasly performed very well last year, and I thought that was going to be a marketed improvement, especially with how well the Honda engines are performing. And I mean, he really should be much closer to Verstappen than he has been. So
he should.
I'd hate to see Kvyat back there. That'd be really weird. But I mean, the boy will have earned it at that point.
I mean, you could make a movie from the redemption arc Daniel Kvyat is on right now if he can pull this off.
That's the last thing that kid needs right now.
And hold on,
what theater is near you? The Torpedo.
Oh.
Hold on, I haven't gotten to the best part of this whole German GP. Williams has points now.
Yay!
Hoorah!
Due to a double.
For that one person to say it's only one.
Do you think they're still crying?
Probably. Due to
a championship win.
Due to a double technical infraction with the Alfa Romeos with the clutch usage, both of those cars were excluded from the event, which promoted Lewis Hamilton from 11th to 9th, but, more importantly, pulled Robert Kubica up to 10th. So Kubica's solitary championship point gets Williams off the schneid one race before the summer break. So now, officially, all 10 teams in the Formula One World Constructors' Championship running have scored a point. Thanks, Hockenheim. Now they just got to find. Now they just got to find 25 more to catch up with Haas and Alfa Romeo. That might be a bigger ask, though.
Just get a few wins under your belt, no big.
Although the way the Haas's are going, they are now going the way of Force India, and those two got into it yet again during the German Grand Prix, and I'm pretty sure Gunther Steiner is about ready to kick both of them out of the seats at this point.
Kick him out.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's voting for Grosjean to be gone, so let's...
We said Grosjean... We said to a man and woman that Grosjean should have been gone this year.
I feel like we've said this every year for the last couple of years, to be honest.
Yes.
And he's just sticking around. He's like a cockroach.
It's like those friends that have like the bad boyfriends that you're like, yeah, come on, just you really should leave them, and they don't want to hear it. Yeah,
but all my CDs are in his car.
Keep going. Just don't listen, and then And then they will eventually like part ways, and then said person will be like, I don't know why I never thought of it before. It's so great. And we'll be like, we told you, but we can't say we told you because that's just...
That'd be mean.
Exactly. Is Darryl not on board with this? Like,
no, I was actually waiting for y'all to wind down because I was actually going to say that I actually had a relationship like that, only I was on the opposite side of it, being the guy and the girl was the bad relationship, and just nostalgia.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
that is
I
true.
haven't.
And don't.
Yeah,
It's
don't,
not worth it.
Don't be that person. Listen to your friends when they tell you things, because most of the time they're right. Sucks.
So, while this race in Hungary, in Germany was a great palate cleanser and gives us a little bit to be hopeful for, we're going back to Hungary this week. The weather is not supposed to be as bountiful for us as it was last week, and we have an angry Lewis Hamilton getting ready to take the track.
Angry or cranky? I'm going to say cranky.
I'm going to say a mixture of both.
Hangry.
Hangry, Jeff.
I'm not going to say whether or not he wins. I'm just going to say, how much do you think he's going to win by at this point?
Like, win the championship?
No, win the race.
Oh. Wow.
13 days and 7 hours.
Yeah, he's already won it. We just
He's
haven't
already won
actually
it.
done the race.
He's already there on the podium saying,
So-
you love us.
There will be some...
saying, you guys are, you fans are the best fans. And I am truly
You guys
blessed.
are the best fans.
So
Don't forget the blast, hashtag blast, and then
Yes.
that's a Hamilton podium speech.
Everybody party in my Bonvoy Marriott hotel.
Okay.
Okay. So there will be
I
some
will not
rain.
say no.
There will be some rain on Friday, but it will come at like 3 p.m. The heaviest will be overnight, so it's not really going to factor into the weekend. And then that will take us into the F1 summer break, and the first half of the season will mercifully be over. So last question before we go to break, in terms for Formula One. Do we see any driver transfers by the time we come back to Spa?
Like
No.
driver transfers, like announcements for next year, or seeing drivers disappear following Spa?
Like they entered Area 51.
Drivers disappearing from the balance of the 2019 season.
If Haas knows what's good for them, Grosjean will gladly disappear in Area 51. But,
Take a walk this way, mate.
That's a little dark.
I mean, Gunther said
You're
that...
going into the light. That's not dark at all.
Oh, wow.
But if I peek the moment.
Okay. Oh,
Gunther
Talking about
hey.
the UFO.
Gunther Steiner said that it would
We've entered a
be
dark world.
desperate if they make a driver
Caitlin.
change. I think they need to make that driver change though, because Grosjean is
Beam me up,
cooked.
Scotty.
I'm just be honest, Grosjean is cooked, but I don't really know who else you could really. Put
Where is
in
he
the
at? Like a
car.
medium rare?
Anybody else?
Or like a
Insert
medium.
anyone here?
Actually, you know what? I don't think they can get rid of them.
I think he's burnt. To answer your
they
question,
can't afford to get
No.
rid of him.
No. I don't think they actually can get rid of him because apparently Jack and Jones is like a big sponsor of Grosjean. So
Oh, is
like,
that why
if you
Jack and
get
Jones
rid
is
of
on the
them-
car?
If you get rid of him,
No
get
money,
rid of
no
that
problems.
sponsor. And if you
So
get rid of
true.
K
You got
and
99
K,
problems, but a Grosjean ain't one.
and if you get rid of K and
Get
K,
me now.
and if you get rid of Magnussen, then K and K goes. So it's just like, Jesus.
So we're stuck with these guys. Is basically what you're saying.
You
Matt.
might
God
be stuck
damn it.
because they don't know where to go.
Well, with the Rich Energy debacle being as it is,
I don't think Ocon has. I think he's like one of those drivers that have a lot of talent but just no money.
Do you ever think he just goes up to somebody and is like, "Oh, can you not?"
Oh no, Caitlin.
Now, Caitlin.
And on that terrible pun, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up with IndyCar. This has been the Extra Mile Bad Puns edition.
Good night, everyone.
We'll be right back here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
From the home plate to the nets, the end zone to the finish line, here nothing is off limits and no sport is safe. Not what it seems with your host Caitlin Seam, bringing you sports like you've never heard before. Catch me Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio. The only question is, are you ready?
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development. But we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest owners. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Hey everybody, we have a website now. Head on over to www.iesportsradio.com to listen to past shows, find out more information about your hosts, get involved in the community, and so much more at www.iesportsradio.com. Welcome back. We are in the final segment of the show. We're going to go through IndyCar real quick as we're getting ready to say goodnight to go watch the Dirt Derby, which you can see on FS1. Scott Dixon ends up winning that race, but the most important part of that event actually happened right behind him when Joseph Newgarden made what can best be described as a low-reward, high-risk maneuver. The man said it himself. And ends up dropping himself from 3rd to 14th. Scott Dixon ends up winning the race. Alexander Rossi ends up finishing 5th. A 2-horse race became a 3 and nearly 4-horse race. If you look at the driver standings, and now Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon have well and truly been pulled back into the championship fight with 5 races to go, plus the double points finale at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, excuse me. So with 4 to go, 4 drivers with all to play for. Lita, we'll start with you. How badly did Newgarden step in it?
Oh, incredibly badly. And, you know, the funny thing is like, I didn't get to watch it. I was listening to it on IndyCar radio on the way home. I mean, I'm ecstatic because this means Rossi is now, like, super leading. But yeah, Newgarden definitely just... It's almost poetic how that ended, because if I remember rightly, he was just stuck there. Yeah, everybody passed him.
He couldn't move.
My poor BB.
Oh, wah. That's just me, though. Why is everybody getting quiet now?
Caitlin, what did you feel about it? Because it looked like Newgarden was going to go ahead and put his foot on this championship, and now he threw it all away, going for a position that he did not need in the grand scheme of things.
He was just trying to make everybody else feel a little bit better about themselves.
Is that what that was?
Oh, he was being nice. He was being a friend. And he was just trying to make it a little more entertaining. Because he was like, you know what, I shouldn't pull a Lewis Hamilton. So he, like, made an excuse. Right, we're baby.
Yeah, but
sure.
I think...
That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, we'll go with that, but I think you got to be in the position...
There's no other way to describe what the disaster of his day. Like, it was... Yeah. Mercury's in retrograde. There you go.
There is no saving him from this.
Yeah.
Not from that.
And now you've got a Alexander Rossi, Michael, that is motivated, within striking range, and a couple of good tracks for him coming up. This championship has swung all the way back into the ball of the Andretti Autosports driver that just inked a new deal to stay at that team for just a little while longer.
Yep, things are definitely looking better for him, and the championship draws ever closer to his grasp.
Yep.
Yeah, and also to all the fools who thought he was ever going to leave Andretti, good Lord. Learn.
I didn't see him leaving. Everybody had him going to Penske still for some reason.
Where was he going to go at Penske? Like, legitimately.
Pagenaud had done enough to keep his seat.
Willpower's
not
going back and forth.
Yeah,
and
Willpower's probably the weakest over there.
Doing really well except for this weekend.
Yeah. So unless he's going to reopen the 4th car, which I don't see that happening, where is he going to go?
Yeah, and not only that, but there's been many interviews, if anybody does follow Alexander Rossi, where they have talked about his potential of going to another manufacturer with Chevrolet. And this even came up when Andretti was apparently rumored to be switching to Chevy due to the potential of a McLaren deal that could have potentially happened not too long ago. And he said again, he has a really good relationship with Honda. He really likes Honda cars. It would take a lot for him to not race with Honda. So guys, do your homework. Like, there was just literally no way. Even Ganassi would have been more likely than a Penske, and he is able to still chase this championship this year with what he's got with Andretti. Like, why would you go anyplace else?
I mean, I wouldn't. Not at this point.
No.
Like, I feel like in that kind of situation, until you're, like, unless your team is severely struggling or you're having issues with people in the team or some kind of scenario like that, or you are absolutely guaranteed so much more money or success or something at another location, like, there's just no incentive to go.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's another, like any other sport where, like, you're getting this athlete contract where you're like, you know, you can get 107 million over here, or you can get 200 million over here. Like, it's not like it's even that kind of comparison either, since so much of it really is dependent on where you're placing in the race.
Exactly. So it's not to say that it may never happen, but just he has such a great setup right now. Andretti has led him to an Indy 500 win. He's been really close in the championship last year. He is leading the championship now with 4 races to go. Like, in all honesty,
I thought he was still behind.
No, he's
behind
leading now.
He is?
Is he? I thought he was leading now.
Still behind.
No, he's behind by 16.
Minus 16.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? Anyways, whatever. Oh,
Newgarden didn't lose that many points.
About it in the race during the broadcast, they had said that Newgarden had completely lost his lead, but okay, he did not completely. Okay, I see this. All right, I forget you get points
Can't
for
touch
like
this.
leading laps and stuff, so it's not just dependent upon the wins of points. There's a lot of other factors that go into points leads, and it's crazy and it's confusing, and gotta love IndyCar. But anyways, so he's still second in closing in on this a lot faster than I think Newgarden was expecting. So why would you go anywhere else? The only other place you might want to go is Penske, but Penske right now is your only competition.
Well, and I think too. Right. Well, and I think I'm sure they've made aware of it, because too is, I think, one of the most exciting aspects of this season, and at least one of the parts that I'm enjoying the most, is I love, and we've talked about this before on the show, and so I think I can say that everybody else does too, but the battle between Newgarden and Rossi is just, it's so fun. It's so fresh. It's great because they're both young, but they're so talented. And it's just such a great part, especially of the season, seeing them both battle it out. Especially if they, like, because they each have had fluke races this year where, like, something's happened and they
everything that can go wrong will
goes wrong, right? And then, but they've also both completely dominated races. Like, they're so talented, and it's creating such a fun rivalry. Like, not even a bad rivalry, but just a fun, exciting one inside of IndyCar. And I think part of the challenge is if somehow they did make room for Rossi over at Penske, you kind of lose that, because now you're teammates. And so there can't really be as much of that fun rivalry as there is if you're on different teams, because then you're expected to get along more and to behave well together and to not really have anything come between you. And so I feel like it's, even for IndyCar in and of itself, I think that it's smart for them to be on different teams, because this is, to me, it's one of those fun little duos that I think 10 years down the road, we're going to be talking about this Rossi Newgarden thing for a long time. Like, I really do. Like, I think that if they grow into this, it'll be so much fun, and it's really going to create a huge namesake in IndyCar just for them battling out as these two young, talented drivers.
Yeah, the longer they can keep them from being on the same team, the better. So hopefully that will hold true. But we are going to go ahead and wave the checkered flag for this episode of the Extra Miles. Cutting it a little short today just to get ready for the Dirt Derby, which actually kicks off here in about 60 seconds. So we're just going to go straight to the picks for nearest the win this weekend and then call it an evening. Only 2 races this week, which will be the NASCAR weekend at the Go Bowling at the Glen and the Hungarian Grand Prix. For the Go Bowling at the Glen, I'm going to take Kyle Busch, and I'm going to take Bottas at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Michael, who you got?
I'm going to take Hamilton at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and what other races were there this weekend?
Go bowling at the Glen.
Go bowling at the Glen. I'm going to go with Suarez.
Lita?
I'm just gonna pick it because I never have strategy to this. We'll do Truex for NASCAR because why not? And probably Bottas because I think I picked Hamilton last week, and let's be real, it's not gonna happen 2 weeks in a row. So there we go.
And finally, Caitlin.
I'm going with Hamilton because I can. And then I'm gonna, just because Lita picked him already too, so I can't really be the one to blame if he gets jinxed. I'm gonna go with Truex at Watkins.
You mean I actually picked like an educated pick for NASCAR?
He won 2 years ago there.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, and he's an excellent. Actually, I think he's one of the current best road course racers we got in NASCAR. So you made an excellent pick.
So
I'm so proud of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And as Lita celebrates her pick, we gotta get up out of here. Check out Caitlin's show.
She's aghast.
Check out Caitlin's show at 5 p.m. Not What It Seems. Check out Lita's writings at gpgirl.com. Mine are at wbgrnetwork.com. Follow all of our social medias. If you want to play Nearest the Win, just hashtag Nearest the Win with your picks before engines fire on Sunday. Check out the website, iesportsradio.com. And remember, Spreaker, Stitchers, iTunes, Google Play, and of course, the website are in the Spreaker Show Reel and iesportsradio.com for any episode of any iSports Radio show you missed. Got through the exit on the best time. This has been The Extra Mile. My name is Darryl Kinsey Jr., and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.